Okay, we left off Memvav on base yesterday. Where's everybody? We had an argument yesterday, Rav and Shmuel, that if a person marries his sister with something of value, with money, which of course everybody knows it's not a marriage. The brother knows the marriage is not a marriage. Is he giving her the money as a pikodin, only for safekeeping? So therefore afterwards he has a claim to regain possession, or is it a matana? He's giving it to her as a gift. Because he knows clearly that the marriage is one can't marry a sister, so he's gifting it to her. And each one has his reason why it was given in the context it was, either because he feels she would not be agreeable to take it as a custodian, as a shomer, or because he wants to save her the embarrassment. He's giving it to that because it's a context of not causing any embarrassment to her. Tzemach looks at Rav and Shmuel. Shmuel says matona, Rav says it's pikodin. So we ask the question, it says that a person goes and tithes his flour as challah, which on the Torah level is meaningless, on a rabbinic level it's meaningless. Because you have to tithe, it says ariso sechem. You have to tithe the batter, the dough, and tithing flour is not valid. It says when you give it to the Kohen, it's considered gezel biat Kohen. The Kohen must return it to the what? To the one who had given him the flour. So the court more asked, but according to Shmuel, that we say it's matana, because everybody knows it's a given, you can't tithe flour. So if he gave him the flour as challah, evidently it's a gift. So why does the Kohen have to return the flour to the Yisrael who had given them the flour? So we see clearly it's pikodin. So therefore it's gezel biat Kohen. The Kohen's not permitted to retain it. That if the giver wants it back, he has to give it back to him. Why not? He would give anybody a gift. But he gave it. But the words he used, he didn't give it. The words I'm giving you as challah. Why not? Why was it Kohen any less than anybody else? Okay. So evidently we see clearly from here that what? That it's pikodin. It's not matana. Okay. It's gezel biat Kohen. The Gemara says, "V'amay gezel biat Kohen name Adam Yodea she'mafish challah kemach v'nos l'shem matana." According to Shmuel, and that Gemara answered, "Shiny hosam nofik churv mino." Now, according to Gemara's answer, it comes at a whole different understanding. The reason why we see it as gezel biat Kohen, according to Shmuel, according to Bachlus Ram and Shmuel, what happens? A man marries his sister, gives her some harei mukadeshesli, gives her $100. So now the question, now the brother says, "I want my money back." Does he have a right to reclaim his money? Rav says definitely, because clearly he gave it as a pikodin. Shmuel says no, he gave it as a gift. Now he wants to renege on the gift. He wants it back. He doesn't receive it back. Now we say it's gezel biat Kohen. So that means what? So seemingly, what are we talking about? That the one who had given the flour as challah wants to reclaim it, right? That's the Gemara. When the Gemara asked its question, why is it gezel biat Kohen? Because the one who had given wants to reclaim his flour. Right, seemingly, right? Because it'd be a gift. How could he reclaim it? He gave it as a gift, the flour. So according to Rav, that it's a pikodin, but let's say he would say he's not reclaiming it. It would not be gezel, correct? It would not be gezel. Because according to Mara's answer now, what we're going to say now is, even if he doesn't want to reclaim it, because the Kohen will misunderstand what he received, and it could create a churva. It'll be a churban. It'll be a catastrophe over here. Because the Kohen will believe that it was challah, and as the Gemara will explain, shani yos nav churv mino. We don't allow the Kohen to retain the flour as challah. Why? Zim dislei Kohen pochs michomish revoim kebach. The Kohen has an amount of flour which is less than the minimum that if you would turn it into dough, he'd be obligated to tithe. There's right? You need asir seifa. The amount of flour he has is less than the minimum volume. So now when he receives this extra flour, believing it's challah, if he adds it to his minimum, he believes, since it's challah, it will not bring about an obligation.
Other than their shame kiddushin, so a man knows that he can't marry his wife. Sure,
His sister.
Sorry, Kohen for sure knows what is and what
Wait, the Gemara's going to ask that question. Gemara's going to ask that next question. Gemara asked that question. If we say the gifter knows what the Kohen doesn't know, right? The Kohen knows what the gifter knows, the one who's given the challah. That's next Gemara. So, but right now we're saying, V'hai olishlei b'hadi adodi. He's going to take the flour which he was given as challah, and he'll knead it into his lesser amount, and he's going to create the greater amount. Uksavar, but the Kohen, what's his understanding? Niskno isoso. He feels that his dough has been already corrected, because there was never an obligation, but factually, since the flour he received was not challah, so when he adds that to his less than the minimum, he creates a volume which is challah. So if it's not tight, what is he actually eating, the Kohen? He's eating tevel. Therefore, under no circumstance do we allow the Kohen to retain the flour that was given to him as challah. So that has nothing to do with the machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Wait. No, but we label it as that. That means under no circumstance we do exactly. Somebody's question. This is Andrew's question. But if he knows that, so just as the one who's given that knows that, the Kohen also knows that. So if that's the case, he's not going to add it. By adding it, he knows he's going to create the obligation. And if he's creating the obligation, he's going to tithe it. Right? Somewhere says, Yodeh ve'enu Yodeh. He knows it, he doesn't know. It's not clear. What does that mean? Yodeh shema fishin chalo kemach. The gifter knows, and the Kohen knows, a person cannot tithe flour. Yodea ve'enu Yodea. What is that? Ve'enu Yodea the sovar, but he doesn't understand the real reason. He doesn't understand the reason. The sovar tamay mai mishum ticha the Kohen. Meaning, why the Kohen understands and believes, what's the reason why it has to be given to him as dough? Because the Torah puts the obligation, the onus of the involvement on the Yisrael. You have to create the dough, and then you give it to the Kohen to make it easier for the Kohen. But it's an accommodation to the Kohen. But if the Kohen is agreeable to accept it as flour, you could tithe flour. So if the Kohen is agreeable, he's willing to waive that difficulty. I'm willing to pass on it. Let's say Kohen is in a state of destitution. He knows I'm not willing to wait. Person says, well, it'll take me another day to turn it into dough. He says, give me the flour, and I'll do it myself. Because the Kohen may believe that the reason why you can't give flour is because that obligation is upon the one who gives it to him, right?
I'm missing something. Are we allowed to tithe?
No, in reality not. The Torah says, Haru Sasechem. This is like, Dorish Tami to Kro. People, always say, milk and meat, dietary laws. It's healthier. Firstly, the Torah never says because it's a health issue, right? But you'd say, well, what's wrong with saying it? No, it's tremendous. It's a problem. Because with time, with certain scientific processing, you'd say, today all those issues are no longer issues. So by giving that reason, it creates a problem. No, the Kohen, it's ignorance. It's ignorance.
There are some acts that we don't take outside the Mikdash, that we do in the Mikdash. We blow shofar in the Mikdash, because we say, I think that in the Mikdash, everyone knows halacha. They won't carry, they won't be issues.
No, that's not pshat. Let me explain. No. Okay, let's talk. There's a halacha that outside the Beis Mikdash one doesn't blow the shofar on Shabbos. In the Mikdash he did blow the shofar. So the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, why? Because Ein Shavuos b'Mikdash. Rabbinic fences have no relevance to the Mikdash. Therefore, you blow the shofar in the Mikdash. Now, why doesn't one blow the shofar outside the Mikdash? Because Shemi Avin Dalam Rabin. Because he may transport it. He's not adept in blowing the shofar. He may take it because he feels the urgency of the mitzvah. Without thinking, he'll take it through a public domain, which is a problem. So what's lacking there? What's the cause of the problem? A lack of cognizance. So Rashi says in Rosh Hashanah, when you're in the Mikdash, there's never a moment that you have any level of distraction. Because you feel the Kedushas HaMikdash, there's an awe. You don't make a move without consulting, and there's always that cognizance because you feel the presence of Hashem. As a result of that, in the Mikdash, because of urgency, nobody acts reflexively to do anything. If in the Mikdash you blow the shofar, outside the Mikdash you don't, because there's so much distraction outside the Mikdash. Okay, now, there's a Gemara in Yuma, very interesting Gemara. The Mishnah says in Yuma, if the Kohen Gadol was an older person, and he'd have to immerse himself, and the water was cold, right? So what would they do to warm the water? They had metal rods, hot metal rods, and they would immerse it into the wellspring, into the mikvah, and that would take the chill out of the water. Right? That's what they would do. No, on Yom Kippur. There's on Yom Kippur. He has to immerse himself to take the chill. So the Gemara asks the question, how are they permitted to do it? Wait. Now, so there's a question of what the problem was immersing that hot metal rod into the cold water, into the water to take the chill out of the water. So now there's an argument to Rashi and Tosas. What exactly is the gears of the Gemara? One gears is Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. Well, we'll talk in a moment. The other Rashi's girsa over there, his text reads Ein Miskavin. There's an argument: is the girsa, is the text of the Gemara Ein Shvus B'Mikdash, or is it Ein Miskavin? The halacha, we rule like Reb Shimon that if you pull a table or a bench, and it's not inevitable you're going to create a furrow, you permit it. A Nazir, if he wants to brush his hair with a soft brush, since every stroke, it's not inevitable he's going to remove hair, Reb Shimon, Ein Miskavin is permitted, you permit it. This has no psikration nichale. We'll talk about psikration. Before we get to psikration nichale, right? We're talking about Ein Miskavin. So if you rule like Reb Shimon, Ein Miskavin is permitted. Okay? Now, what is the issue of putting the rod into the water? The Gemara says you temper the steel. How do you temper steel? It's hot, you put it in cold water, you temper it. So the question is that a psik ratio? The Gemara in its question is, but it's a psik ratio. By when you put it in, you're tempering the steel. Right? So how you permit it? Rashi says, Ein Miskavin. It's not a psik ratio. The Gemara's teretz is it's Ein Miskavin. No. It's not inevitable. The rod, assuming a tempered state, is not inevitable. It's not inevitable. It's possible, but it's not inevitable. Wait a second. There's no metal. There's no extinguishing on metal. I'm saying whatever it was, right? Right. It was tempered before. It's Ein Miskavin. That's Rashi. Rashi says Ein. Tosas learns like this, that the reason why rabbinic, it's psikration nichalek. So we're dealing with rabbinical. Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. Right? Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. So the Ritva explains Rashi like this. Ein Shvus B'Mikdash, we only say where it's a question of cognizance. What about a person who doesn't know the halacha? Has nothing to do with Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. Does a person understand psikration lo nichalek? It's a psikration. Well, it's lo nichalek. That's already, you have to be a little bit of a Talmud Chacham. Where it's a question of knowledge, being knowledgeable of halacha or not, that has nothing to do with Ein Shvus B'Mikdash. Rashi learns it's purely a question of cognizance. You may, because of the urgency of the mitzvah, take it and transfer without thinking. In the Mikdash, there's no such thing in the Mikdash without thinking. So it's not a question of now being knowledgeable, not knowledgeable. But psikration, nichale, lo nichale, this could be confused with something else. Well, that's already, that's a separate issue. Therefore, in the Mikdash, the shvus, that's a Rashi cannot have that girsa. You understand? So I'm saying over here, we're talking about, this has nothing to do with Ein Shvus B'Mikdash over here. The Kohen knows. The Kohen doesn't know. The Kohen may be a little bit of an Amoritz over here. No. Careful, but careful is a separate issue. Here we're talking about the Kohen believes that the reason why the Yisrael has to take it from the batter rather than flour is because the Torah puts the onus upon him that he has to be occupied with turning it into dough. That the Kohen should receive the finished product, so to say. He's willing to waive it. So if he's willing to waive it, the flour that he receives is what? Is tithe. So even if you should add it to the lesser amount, he doesn't create tevel. Right? V'tircha the kohen achilteik.
When himself know that he cannot eat from the flour itself, does he know that? So if he doesn't know that, why are we not worried that he has a bunch of flour?
That's what we're worried about. That's what we're saying.
He has a bunch of flour, and he's taking challah from that flour, thinking that's okay to do, and then he ends up eating tevel in the end because he never took anything. Why is that not consideration? If he doesn't really know the halacha that he's supposed to take it from already batter that's already mixed, then he could be messing up.
No, if he has a larger amount of flour, let's say he has a certain amount of flour. If he has a lesser amount,
and he thinks he can just take
wait a second. No. He won't. There's no reason to take. There's no reason. Normally, a person takes challah from dough. Normally does it. The person normally does it. Here he receives the flour from the Yisrael. He'll add it to his lesser amount, believing that it's not obligated. But if he has a larger amount, when does he normally take challah? Before he bakes it.
So he's going to mix it, then mix it up, and then he becomes chayav and challah.
Then it's tevel, but he'll say he's not obligated. Right. Okay. See you in a moment. So more asks a question. Tevi truma. Let us say, when he received, what do we say? It's gezel. We're asking a question on Rav, on Shmuel. Shmuel says it's a gift. So we say he has to return it. So more asks, tevi truma. Let us say that it's considered, based on what he thinks, let it be considered he has a right to retain it. It's considered challah. Truma and challah are the same thing. However, we say he's not permitted to eat it until he tithes it when it's dough. Meaning, he'll make a dough, then we'll allow it. Milot tanan, which is rabbinical. Mina nokov she'enu nokov. We'll see in a minute. We'll see in a moment. You have a potted plant, wheat growing in a pot, and you have a hole in the bottom of the pot. It has a hole. So the Gemara says it's very interesting. The Gemara says, what's the halacha if you write a get on a branch of a tree or a leaf of a tree, where the leaf is attached to the tree? And wait a second. And then afterwards you write it, and then you cut it off, and then you give it to the woman. She's Eina Mugareshes. Because it says v'kosa v'nosan. You write it and you give it. There can't be any interruption. If you have to sever it, cut it from the tree, and then give it, it's not simple. It's not simple. You have to tear it out. No, because then you can give the whole notebook. But here you can't give the tree because you have to transfer it. The tree, physically, you have to give the tree. And with Mechalik, the Mishnah says if you go and you actually write a get on the hide of a cow, the hide, or on the horn of a cow. So if you cut off the horn and you give it to the woman, she's Eina Mugareshes. But if you give the whole cow to the woman, then she's Mugareshes. Right? That's the difference. So it will be similar with the notebook. Yeah. Same thing. Same. Okay? Not learning Gittin right now. Okay? So now, it's interesting. You can't write a get b'mechuber. So the Gemara in Gittin speaks about a case. You have a flour, a pot, which has a hole in it, and it's on stilts. Right? So the Gemara says that in terms of, this has to do with hydroponics too a little bit. It says that the nourishment, if there's a hole in the pot, what's in the pot is nourished from the ground. Even if it's not touching the ground. It actually draws through the air, right? The process of growth, it goes through from the ground. It's similar to the Gemara, in water, right? It's able to draw nourishment through the water from the riverbed. 10 feet from the ground. Whatever it is. But the ground is, the holes on the bottom of the pot, and under the pot you have earth. You have soil. That's considered mechuber. The Gemara says that if you cut something in the plot, you're reaping on Shabbos. Isa d'oraisa. Shemitah too, all these things. We'll talk about Shemitah. We'll talk Shemitah in a minute. But let's say on Shabbos. The Gemara says in Shabbos, if you have something growing in a pot, okay, and you cut what's growing in the pot, although it's a sealed pot, you violate Shabbos. Why? Because that's called Oke Dov Migedulo. You're uprooting something from its location of growth. Okay? Wait a minute, second. Differentiate. No. It says that if you have moss on the side of a pail, you have moss, and you remove the moss from the handle of the pail, you're in violation of Shabbos. Why? Because that's called okadav migdulo, because its location of growth, the moss is growing on the side of the pail. But if you have a sealed pot, and what's growing in the pot doesn't go over the side of the pot, it's all contained within the walls of the pot, and you pick a tomato from that pot, from that plant growing in the sealed pot, you're not in violation of reaping on Shabbos. It's above the pot, but it's within the walls of the pot. It's within, right? On a Torah level, you did not violate the law of reaping. Wait. So the Gemara asks, why is it different? And you have the moss growing on the side of the pot, right? There we say you are in violation of uprooting something from its location of growth. It's Gemara's question on Shabbos. Okay? Reaping.
And removing something from its place of growth, is it the same?
Same.
Or is it a different category?
Same.
Like a minion art, is that what it is?
No, same. It's under the classification of kotzer. That's kotzer.
That's what both
Kotzer. So the Gemara answers. The Gemara says, why in one case it's only rabbinical, in the other case it's doraisa? So it says, when you grow something in soil, see, one, it's growing in soil. The other is a spore. It's growing on the side of the pot. It's moss. So when you grow something in soil, soil is always attached to the ground. So being in a sealed pot, it's not the normal way you grow. It's not the way something normally grows. Therefore, it's considered not similar to what took place in the Mishkan. But moss, when it grows, that's the way it normally grows. So since it's being taken from its normal location of growth, therefore you're in violation of what? Of reaping.
What about the fact that you're taking the moss off because you don't want the moss there? Supposed to, maybe you take the tomato because you want the tomato.
We're not getting involved in Mlachshin Shricha Lagufa. If it's to clean the pot, then it's Mlachshin Shricha. Let's say we'll go like Rabbi Yehuda. Mlachshin Shricha is Chayuf. Okay? Not getting involved. We would make differentiations between two. You want the moss, whatever it is. Okay? So that's what makes a differentiation. But let's say you'd have a hole in the pot. And then you would cut the tomato. You'd pick the tomato in the pot. It's an Issa D'Oraisa. That soil is considered connected to the ground. That tomato is as if it's growing in the ground. Okay? Because we say the nourishment goes through the air and it filters, it's absorbed through that hole in the bottom of the pot. So it's as if the soil in the pot is attached to the ground itself. Therefore, it's considered, that's conventional growth.
How does it work if you have the floor underneath the pot?
No, if there's a floor, you have concrete underneath. It's nothing. No. Talking about the soil.
It has to be like in the backyard.
We had a case in Shabbos, if you remember. Ma'amir is not permitted. Ma'amir is gathering. So we had a case that Tosas explains. Let's say you have a basket, you pick apples and you put it in a basket. Okay? And then the basket is knocked over. Apples we picked Friday. And then the basket is knocked over on Shabbos, and the apples are scattered under the tree. What's the halacha? And you gather the apples, put them back in the basket. So it's not a muktzah. All these apples originally were in the basket. Is a doraisa. That since the apples where they were located is the original location of growth, because it's under the tree, therefore you're in violation of ma'amir. Right? Tzlafchad. The Makoshi Sheitzin, there's an argument in Gemara Shabbos. What malacha did he do? Was it kotzer? Was it ma'amir? Was it gathering or he was reaping? Right? There's an argument above the Basra and Shabbos. What exactly was the malacha? But let's say a person has a basket of apples in his kitchen, in his garage, and the basket is knocked over, and then you regather the apples, put them back in the basket. It's permitted, 100% permitted. Why? Because it's a concrete floor. It can't grow there. It's not its location of growth. Reality. Fact.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is it reality?
It is a reality. It is a reality. Scientific reality. Scientific reality. It's scientific reality. Mishnayos. These are Mishnayos throughout Shas. There's a Mishnah talking here. Okay? Mish'eno, so we can talk, right? So let's say the halacha is that when you tithe, let's say you have tevel. Tevel, it's Torah obligation, you have to tithe it. So, but you have tevel drabani, you have tevel doraisa. what grows in a sealed pot, rabbinically, you have to tithe. It's considered tevel d'Rabbanan. Let's say I have wheat I reaped in one location, and wheat I reaped in another location, but it was reaped from wheat that grew in the ground, right? Right? So they're both obligated on the Torah level. They're both tevel. I want to tithe from one on the other. You can, because they're both on par. They're both classified as tevel d'oraisa. What about if one's rabbinical tevel, one's d'oraisa tevel, and you want to tithe from the rabbinical on the d'oraisa? It's not valid. Also, not valid. They have to be on par. Because you're not accomplishing anything. Because it has to become truma. If I'm taking from the tevel d'oraisa on that, not on itself, I'm taking on the pot. So it's not obligated. You're not obligated. It's like I would take wheat and I want to tithe ice cream. Right, it has no relevance. It has no relevance. It has to become truma. Truma is only tithing tevel. But if what grows in the pot, the sealed pot, is not called tevel, you're not taking truma. But you can't eat it. It's tevel d'oraisa. Right? What you're actually setting aside to be truma, it remains tevel. Right? Truma is a consequence of tithing tevel. But what you tithed over here from the tevel d'oraisa is not called truma. Because you tithe into something which is not called tevel. You following? Okay, so it's nothing. So here we have a case over here. You have something growing in a pot, and you tithe mish'enu nokov ala nokov, a pot which is sealed on a pot that has a hole in it. Truma v'yashiv yitrom. We say that the tithing is truma. Yeah, we'll see, rabbinically, and then you have to take truma again from the real tevel. So we see over here, we don't say it's nothing. We retain it as truma, and then you do it again.
He's taking from the perforated pot?
No, he's taking from the non-perforated pot on the perforated pot. So it's nothing. To the d'oraisa. So we say what you took is classified as truma, but you have to tithe again from the perforated pot on the perforated pot.
Truma really is a gift. It's not really.
No, wait. So let's say you give it to the Kohen. It's truma, but he's not permitted to eat it until you do it a second time. Till you tithe from the truma on the truma.
Tithe from the truma that he gave him?
No, on the perforated pot on the perforated pot.
So what status does that have then? That stuff he just gave the Kohen?
He gave the Kohen.
From the
It's rabbinic truma. It's rabbinic truma. He retains it until the right thing is done. We don't say it's nothing. We don't say it's nothing. Here we're saying when you give the Kohen the flour, you gave him nothing. We're classifying it as tevel. Call it challah. Let him do the right thing. And then afterwards, let him keep it all. What does he have to return it? Right? Here we're saying no. It retains its status of truma until he does the right thing, and then everything remains the way it was. To take from the tevel on the tevel. On the nokov, on the perforated pot on the perforated pot.
What does he do with this stuff?
He lets the Kohen keep it. The Kohen retains it.
And what does the Kohen do?
He eats it.
So it's really not truma. It's like here.
No, but it's truma. We're calling it truma. We're calling it truma. Over here, the flour. Let us
Truma for the non-perforated pot.
for the non-perforated pot.
So he can eat that.
He can eat that. So we see that even though until he does the second act, he cannot eat it. We don't allow him to eat it, correct? But we don't say it's gezel. We don't say he's retaining something that he has no right to have. We leave things as they are. So why are we differentiating? Here we're saying what you did is nothing. The Kohen has to return it. Let him retain it as challah until he does the right thing, right? He'll add to a certain amount. On that, the Gemara says, there's a difference. Since the person understands there's a perforated and non-perforated pot, he understands the two situations. So he took the two situations which are not the same. So he understands that until you do something else, you have to what? You're not permitted to act on it. But over here, when he was given truma, he was given challah, and he adds it to his flour. He says, doesn't make any sense. According to his understanding of what? Of The reason why the Yisrael has to take from batter is because he's actually saving the inconvenience for the Kohen. Somewhere says, Vlotzois, Votenan, Hatorin Kishis V'nipsa Moro. Now there's a halacha on a Torah level. Let's say you have quality fruit or grain, and you want to tithe from the quality on the non-quality. Right? Let's say you want to give truma to the Kohen, and you have inferior quality. It's almost putrid, but it's still edible. And you want to, look, you're giving away something. A metal give to the Kohen, what's putrid, but it's still edible. So it's still classified as a food item. So he's tithing from the putrid on the quality. He's not permitted to do it. He's not permitted to do it. It's valid, but he's not permitted to do it. They have to be within the same classification of quality. The truma and what you're absolving from, which is no longer going to be tevel, in both directions. Hatorin kishas nibtza moro. A person tithes gourds, it turns to be bitter. Avtiach v'nibtza saruach. He tithes a melon, and it turns to be putrid, saruach, rotten. Doesn't make a difference. Truma v'yasav yitrom. It retains its status as truma, but we say rabbinically he has to take truma again. He has to take truma twice. The one who tithed it. Since the first tithing was not a proper tithing, he didn't do it properly. We'll see that the Gemara is going to explain that. The Gemara will say it's truma v'yasav yitrom. What he tithed initially, that's reserved for the Kohen. He can't say take that back, so we'll do it over again. Right? So here he's going to be giving away a double portion. He's going to be giving away what's inferior, and now he has to take a quality tithing twice. So now the Kohen's going to receive a double portion. He's going to receive the truma. So we see here it's the same thing. We're not talking about two situations. It's the same harvest, and he's tithing. First, he tithes the inferior. So you know something? The inferior, it remains truma, but now we have to do it a second time. The man's not going to listen. He says, I already did the truma. I already took the truma. So we see over here that even where it's from the same harvest, we say we leave it as truma, and then we say he does it a second time. Shiny hosam dim the rice truma mal yehi. He says there it's different. On a Torah level, it's a valid tithing. When he takes the inferior quality produce for the quality, it's a valid tithing on a Torah level. That's why it's truma. When you give flour is not challah. The Torah says flour is given, truma challah is given from batter. Minimally it has to be batter or it has to be a baked item. Nothing. It's meaningless. It's a meaningless act. Over here, on a Torah level, it is truma. Except we're penalizing him. We're penalizing because he did the wrong thing. We want the Kohen to receive something of quality. So we said the truma that he took remains truma because factually it is valid. The second truma truth is not truma. It's not truma. Why is it not truma? Because he already absolved the harvest from tevel with the first tithing. No, because even if he doesn't listen, worse comes to worse, he's not eating tevel. In this case here, in the first case, it was factually gave truma.
In the second case with his melons, does he understand what he's doing? So, for example, a man's got the gourds and the melons, and he tithes, and then later finds out that he took the inferior ones. Is that a problem? Or does he know that?
He knows it immediately. He knows it immediately.
That's why he's penalized. But if he didn't know...
No, we will still penalize him. We'll still penalize.
I've got this combination.
No, he didn't have to, not that he did initially intentionally, but he realized it immediately. Immediately he realizes.
The Kohen cuts it open and finds out I gave him the rotten ones. Do I have to retithe? I didn't know that.
I'm not sure. But let's see here, make it simple. After he tithed, it wasn't intentional. With good intention, he realizes it was inferior. We say to that person, you have to tithe again. Because what you give the Kohen has to be quality produce to be continued.